Yes, H. Welcome to In the Box, mate. Thanks for coming on. We've come a long way since we were both practicing our running over Elton Park together. I've got one first question, really. How comes it works on you, but not for me?
Them quick big days, wasn't it? What's his name? Joe. I've got to thank him for all that. He got our feet moving quick, didn't he?
Yeah, to be fair, I can't just like I say, I just can't believe it only works on you and not me. But no, to be fair, we weren't blessed with pace, but we could play. But no, yeah, I know you'll have to send him a little thank you. He's probably someone you nearly forgot about there as well.
I know, mate. I wonder what he's doing these days.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I spoke to a few people who are still in contact with him. I don't think he's doing anything to do with football, but yeah, no, he's all good.
Is he not now?
No.
He was at Millwall, wasn't he? He was doing the young lads at Millwall when we were.
Yeah, he got the academy manager job earlier, didn't he? To be fair, but no, I don't think he's involved in football anymore. But how's things anyway, mate?
Yeah, no, not too bad, mate. Just with this coronavirus going on, it's affecting everyone, isn't it? So just trying to get by, just trying to keep fit for obviously whenever we return. But it's just a nightmare, mate. Just hoping and just praying it ends sooner rather than later. Yeah,
no, of course. I was going to ask, like, you know, how's life been without football? And yeah, like, what have you been asked to do, like, in the meantime?
God, it's one of them, Rooney. Like, when you're playing, you take it for granted so much. It's like you go in every day, and it is. When you sit back, you do realise it's such a privilege to be a footballer and play every day. But over the course of the season, you definitely take it for granted. So situations like this, it's like obviously the bigger picture is everyone else's health, and you know what, football needs to take a back seat. But individually, like, you miss playing so much, just getting out there, training. And to be honest, training is probably the main thing that I've missed the most. Just having a crack with the lads, going in, just getting the balls out, and it's just a nightmare. But like, the bigger picture is just everyone's safety, and just hopefully everyone's trying to stay safe and following the rules, and hopefully this will end soon.
Yeah, no, of course, mate. Like you say, bigger picture, you know, there's people losing their lives and stuff. But, you know, with football as well, especially, I think you'll find, like, I'm sure you'll agree, like, when the season comes to an end, you're sort of almost ready for it as a player, aren't you? Because you know when it's ending, and then you know that you've earned your break, and you can have a little, you know, let off some steam over the summer. And then you know when you're going back. With this, like, no one really knows exactly when you're going back, do it?
No, because where it just starts, like, we were on a decent little run, and obviously I think we were 4 or 5 points behind West Brom. So, like, you bang in the middle of it and you're like, come on, next game, you're just looking forward to it. We had Brentford, Leeds, back-to-back. And then in the day of the game, we were playing Brentford on a Friday night. The games got cancelled and that was it. So you've gone from the night before getting ready for a game to now coming up to a month of not playing and an unrealistic rescheduled date, to be honest. The 30th of April is never going to happen. So it's that part of it, you can't, at least you just say in the off season, you know, you've earned that break and you've got a 6-week period where you're returning. Now it's just the unknown is football side of it, and of course for everyone, it's just the worst part of it is the unknown. Yeah,
no, of course, and like I say, even being able to watch a game of football, I think that everyone's missing that. So hence why I set something like this up, a little bit of fun and hopefully a little bit of some serious questions at the end. But yeah, let's move on to it. Ask you to name a team of players that you've played with throughout your career. First of all, before we get onto your team, what was your full process behind this? Was it like stick as many pals in there as possible, or have you thought about it with maybe your coaches or your managers head on?
Do you know what? I went back to the year we got promoted from League One and into the Champ, and it was hard not to get all them lads in because they're all still up till now. A lot of them are my friends, but I looked at it from a bigger picture and I did try and pick the best talented 11 that I could fill out of all the saying it, and I put a couple of my closer pals on the bench just to try and keep them happy. But no, it's my best team. Formation-wise, I think I would have potentially changed it if I was a manager, but just for the best 11, it was a bog standard 4-4-2.
No, mate, that's good. It sounds like I say, you've not just gone for your mates, you've been a little bit cutthroat there and gone for the players you play with the most ability, and that's what we want. Right, we'll start off then. In goal, who's your cap?
Oh, Boric. He's honestly, his personality alone was great for us at the time. We were in the Championship and we were going through a sticky period, and it weren't no fault of the keeper at the time. He was a young lad, Ryan Allsop. But we just needed that experienced Ed in goal, and he come in and just oozed calmness to another extent. He's obviously had a great career before that, and he was 34, 35, so he was, for a keeper, I know that ain't that old, but everyone thought he potentially was coming to the end of his career and maybe achieve one more promotion, and that was it. But he done so well for us, ended up being our keeper in the Premier League for a good couple of years after that. And yeah, he just oozed you with confidence and give the back four so much stability. And in a changing room, he was a great lad to have. So that was an easy decision, to be honest.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to mention that because I think you just mentioned it there. I didn't actually realise how old he was. He's actually 40, isn't he? He's turned 40. So I didn't actually realise how old he was until I was doing my bit of research there. I spoke to a few people who had played with him before as well.
He's one of them. He's so professional, and he's got a persona and a personality because he's quite outspoken. The Rangers fans won't like him very much, but he's one of them that, when it comes to work, he works hard. He's professional, and say to be in the game and in the Premier League at 40, speaks volumes of the person and the keeper he is.
Yeah, no problem. So that's it. He's in. Go on, then we'll go across your back four, as you mentioned, this old-fashioned back four. We'll start right back.
Right back, yeah.
Right back, yeah.
This one it'd be my skipper as well. To be honest, he's my best pal, so that helps. But our Frano, Simon Francis, how he only played in the Premier League at the age of 28 or 29 is honestly beyond me. He probably has to take a bit of criticism himself for that, because I think professional-wise, he said he blames himself for not living right or not taking football as seriously as he probably should have, because his ability, the year we went up in particular, was honestly one of the best right backs. I think at that time he would have been in the top 5 in the Premier League, let alone in the Championship. He was quick, strong. He could put a cross in. I think he ended up having like 13, 14 assists that year. Mm-hmm. And he was just a great leader. He weren't captain, but great lad, great ability. And I was so pleased for him when we went up, because he was at an age where it was, if we didn't make it or we didn't get into the Premier League, it probably would have been hard for him to have got that move into the Premier League. So someone that fulfilled his career definitely in the latter part, and if he would have had a little bit more of a professional headset and mindset in his earlier career, then I have no doubt he would have played in the Premier League from whenever whenever he got there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting as well, because, like I say, another main reason why I want to do this podcast is, for the young players who are listening and stuff, who are trying to make it in the game, to really realise like the difference in terms of your professionalism on and off the pitch. Like, and say you're saying there that he's an example, so it'd be interesting to speak to him myself to see there like what he felt like that he wasn't doing at the time. Because, like I say, I try and tell these young lads who are working with that, the margins are a lot smaller than they think, and like I say, he's gone on to be a Premier League player. I think it speaks volumes for Simon, the fact that when he's been injured and stuff, and he's had some, real injury problems since he's been in the Premier League with Bournemouth, that Eddie Howe's always seemed to, either like put him back in or, work his way back into the team. I think Adam Smith was doing well at right back there. He moved him to left back to get Simon back in, and then he's even then gone on to play centre half. So that obviously don't surprise you being his best mate, no?
No, he had that bad injury, I think it was last year, and he was 33. And an ACL at any age can set you back, for years. But for someone at 33, and I know he would have had doubts in his mind, especially returning or coming back into the Premier League at 34, coming on to 35 off the back of an ACL injury is a massive ask for anyone. Yeah, so for him to be able to have done that and turn that round, and he does have Eddie Howe to thank a lot, because Simon's career changed when Eddie took over, and them small margins you talk about, Eddie Howe demands from his players day in, day out. And I think Simon, or Frano as I like to call him, probably was unlucky with the managers that he would have had up until the point of Eddie. Probably every player and every character needs a different sort of manager to push them in different ways, and Eddie definitely knew how to get the best out of Frano, and even up until now he's still doing that, so it's great to see.
Yeah, no, certainly, and he's in there, and you've named him as skipper as well. Left back.
Yeah.
Who's your left back?
Yeah, this was a difficult one, but Charlie Daniels, again that year we went up from the Championship, from League One, then the Championship to the Premier League. Another one similar to Frano. He was at an age where, to get into the Premier League at 26 or 27, I think he was, is late for anyone. But for him to excel the way he did in the Premier League, you're kind of scratching your head of, where are these players been? Where's Charlie Daniels played in the Championship or League One for 8 years of his career when he's performing like this in the Premier League?
Yeah.
So I give Charlie so much credit for that. And it was the success of our Bournemouth team going up them 2 seasons were our fullbacks and the wingers, in fairness. But their ability to get forward and to defend was such a weapon for us. And yeah, I think when teams come to play us, or we went up to play against teams, their main focus was just trying to stop our fullbacks, which is a strange way to look at things. That one of your main attacking threats come from your 2 fullbacks, but Charlie and Frano offered that so well. So no, it was Charlie had to get into it.
Yeah, no problem with that. And like you say as well, probably similar to the Sheffield United story in a sense of, like you said there, a few of you boys have come up from League One into the Premier League, quite a lot of it, and same as at Sheffield United, the people are probably thinking, why were these players not already in the Premier League? Like it's crazy to think, and like I say, that's again, I think that goes to show, one of the main themes and one of the main reasons why I'm doing this, to show people that the margins are small. It might just be that little bit, sometimes a little bit luck, and sometimes that little getting that break, and then sometimes just working a little bit harder and maybe just being a bit more professional.
No, definitely, mate, definitely.
Right, centre half time. 2 centre halves. We'll stick with the first. We'll stick with the. We'll go with the Tommy Elphick first, seeing as I was talking about the boys who've come up with League One.
Tommy was, for me, his ability was brilliant, but his personality and his character in the changing room was set him apart from any professional and any player that I've played with. To be honest, his positivity, no matter what the situation was, whether we were winning, losing 3-0, won the game, lost the game, Monday morning he come in and he was such an infectious character. We got him from Brighton. I think the year we went up, to be honest, from the Championship. So he was our captain the year we went up. We might have signed him the year before that. But anyway, he was someone that just demanded standards so high, but delivered it in a way that weren't a suck up to the manager. He was a player's player. He was there for the lads. Just a proper captain and a proper old school centre half, and he fell victim of injuries, to be honest. When we got promoted, he was so unlucky. The injury he got when we went up quite early on in the season, and football is a horrible business when it comes to you're out for a while. If someone comes in and does a good job, then especially centre halves, it's hard to get back in, and the lad that replaced him in reality is the one that I've paired with him. So just a great lad and a great friend, but someone that was pivotal in our promotion bid. And that back 4 in particular, and the one that I had to leave out and leave on the bench, which I do feel a bit harsh on him, Steve Cook, they were brilliant for us. But Tommy for me was he had to be in there.
Yeah, no problem. I was going to ask on that, like as a little bit of a side note, that year that you won the Championship and stuff, such a major achievement. I think it was just your second, only your second season after you got promoted from League One. So you'd only had sort of one season to sort of stabilise yourself in it, and then you got promoted. I was going to ask, like,
Yeah.
I was obviously watching on, not just as a fan of you. Obviously, I had Matty Ritchie, who I played with, who was there as well, and stuff like that. And I had many reasons why I wanted to see Bournemouth get promoted that year. But I remember thinking it was just such a big achievement for a club like Bournemouth to win the Championship. I was just going to ask on that, maybe just you personally, or maybe some of the other boys from talking to them. When did you actually think, right, like, we're going to do this? Do you know what I mean?
I know it's such a difficult one because, as you say, like Bournemouth, that should have never happened to a club like Bournemouth, and we were written off. Now, but Rooney, shouldn't we get at the time of us getting promoted the first season into the Championship, we were getting probably 6,000-7,000 people a week. Lads were on money that, don't get me wrong, in a normal world, it's great money, but compared to teams that are coming down from the Premier League into the Championship, we were playing QPR the first season. They had big earners at the time. Wigan, I know they've obviously fell now massively, but big players. So we were coming up against teams that were on so much more of a bigger scale to us. So it was hard to kind of believe it until it actually physically happened.
Yeah.
You go on runs, and that's what was quite unique. And it was almost a bond that everyone was just completely together with it. There was no sort of hidden agendas. There was no players that were thinking, oh, do you know what, I'm going to play for myself here because I might get a move to a bigger club. We all felt like we could achieve something, but probably didn't believe that we would do it until we actually did.
Yeah.
But a feeling that, and a week where we won promotion on the Monday and then won the league at Charlton on the Saturday. And that week, if I could bottle that up and have that every week, it would be the best time of my life. It was such an amazing feeling. And as you said there, with the club itself and the fans and the town for where the club went, to be part of that journey, it was completely unique, and that's probably why I had to put so many of the Bournemouth lads in it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, of course, and like I say, like a major achievement, and I think it's more the style that you've done it in. You're not, talking about you all being on the same page and stuff, but you've played some like fantastic football. It wasn't just a case of like you outworking teams. I'm sure you did outwork teams, but you certainly played football as well. And no, it's great. Like I say, it's great to hear that we might move on later to a bit more about that week. I think you might have even scuffed one in down the valley on that last day of the season, didn't you?
Say that again, mate. You fingered up there.
Sorry, Matt. I said you've even scuffed one in, didn't you, on the last day of the season at the Valley, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was one of them really mad because they're the team that released me, obviously, and to go back there and score and obviously win the league. We won it late because Watford conceded literally 95th minute against Sheffield Wednesday for us to win the league. So it was one of them. When you're promoted, you're like, it don't matter that we ain't won the league. We just assumed Watford were going to win or get a draw against Sheffield Wednesday. That's all they needed. So we weren't really that bothered. But then when you actually do win the league, it's like, it's a big deal. Do you know what I mean? The lads were buzzing, and it was kind of two separate celebrations. And I scored on that day. So it was a great day, mate.
Quality, right? Who's his partner? Who partners him at the back, centre half?
This one, for me, it's a massive statement, and I've said it to a lot of people. I personally put this lad as one of the top centre halves in the world. I honestly do. Nathan Ake. We signed him from Chelsea for massive money, to be honest, 25 million. So it's not a massive surprise or a shock that he's got quality, because obviously the club identified that and spent that amount of money on him. But for me, he's someone that is quick, strong, calm on the ball, unbelievable professional, and a young age. And I look at Chelsea now, and I'm sure they're kicking themselves that they let him go to Bournemouth, especially for the amount they did. When you see centre halves getting moves this day and age, for the figures that they're going for, I think Nath is without just shadow of a doubt in the top 5 centre halves, in my opinion. No disrespect to Bournemouth, and I'm sure that I wish him all the best when this does happen. But I've got no doubt he'll move on to one of the top clubs in the world, because in my opinion, he's got absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, like I say, I think you've even you've sort of stole my question there really with what you said, because that's exactly what I was going to ask. You know, like, I don't want to sound like we're getting him out of Bournemouth, but yeah, I completely agree, like from a personal level, and for me as well, like in terms of moving on to a top club, he's only 25 and he's pretty versatile as well. He's left-footed, could probably go and play left back for it, so play holding midfield, and for me, I totally agree with that. And like I say, could you tell his quality straight away when he come in, H?
Well, he was unlucky, to be honest, Room, when he first come, because we had, as I say, Tommy Elphick and Steve Cook playing centre-half. And they started the season really well. And he only really got in. We signed him on loan initially. And he hadn't played for about 3 months. So Chelsea had a callback on him in December or January, I think it was. And I think they activated it because he weren't playing. And then Tommy got injured. And he only ended up playing 2 months for us for that first season we were in the Premier League. But the impact he had when he come in made the club the next season signing for 25 million. He made that much of an impact. So we lost him after Christmas for obviously the rest of the season. But then the club went back and made sure obviously they got him. So from training, I was like, he's unlucky. He's missing out here every week because he's not head and shoulders above the two that were playing, because they're great centre-halves, but he was just unlucky, the circumstances that obviously the manager decided to go with the lads that had been there and got us promoted, which was probably fair. But then as soon as he got in, the club realised that, we've got to try and get him back and make him probably our star defender, which he is, most definitely is now.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. It's right, solid back four. We will move on to your midfield four, and we'll start in centre midfield. Who have you gone with?
First one I go is Jack Wilshere. For me, probably one of the most talented players and one of the most admired for myself, that I admired before I played with him, that I've really ever watched and thought, you know what, this kid's got something that if I can take half of what he can do on the pitch, it will make me a better player. I remember watching him against Barcelona as a 17-year-old, and he got man of the match that day. And I was thinking, this kid he don't look like an English player the way he plays football. He looks like he's been brought up in a continental way. And then obviously the successes he had as a young player at Arsenal, got him the reputation and ultimately the career that he's got now, which shame because obviously injuries have took their toll on him. But I remember when Bournemouth were obviously getting him on loan, and it was a massive surprise to me. And in a way, I was like, it's going to be a difficult one to displace if he comes in and takes my place here, because he's a top player. But in my head, I was thinking, if I can get alongside playing with him, I could learn so much off him, and it would be something that, I'll look at and think, well, my career's come a long way, because I remember watching him when I was playing non-league, playing against Barcelona, getting man of the match, and now I'm playing alongside him, and I was really excited for that. So he come in and, he didn't disappoint. He ended up playing in a midfield three, so there was 3 of us in there, and his qualities were in training and just in games. He was just head and shoulders above everyone, in my opinion. And I think injuries have taken their toll on him. I think he potentially could be disillusioned with the way football works, because he's been so unlucky, and I feel for him so much. He works so hard in the gym every day. He's one of the best professionals that I've come across when it comes to rehab. And I think his injuries seem to be different injuries, which is just baffling, to be honest. But now without the injuries that he has had, and everyone in England appreciates his ability, it was nice to be able to play with him. And as I say, a great lad as well. So he was definitely making the team.
Yeah, no problems with that one from me. Like I say, I'm a fully fledged member of the Jack Wilshere fan club as well. For me, like I say, I was the same as you. I was a year above him. You're a year above me. And for me, even when I played against him when he was younger, I'd never seen anything like it. And for me, like I say, it's just them injuries that have just hampered his career slightly, to be honest, or hampered his career quite a lot. I remember him being very complimentary of yourself actually as well, saying that you was one of the best midfield players he'd played with. So how did that make you feel? Obviously, after you said that you'd admired him from afar, how did that make you feel playing alongside him and him being so complimentary of yourself?
Yeah, well, that's why he's made me team, because I remember that comment. but I go back to what I'm saying when I remember watching him when I was playing non-league, and I'm sure it was either non-league or just got my move to Bournemouth.
Yeah. And
that level of watching him playing against Barcelona to then obviously playing alongside him, and I do remember him saying that. I think we played Everton, and I had a good game, and yeah, I took it as a massive compliment, even though he was younger than me. I respected him so much as a player, and as a person, I respected him. So it was a lovely, lovely compliment from him. And I mean, he might have been going overboard on it, because when I see some of the midfielders he's played with, I think he might have misunderstood the question, but it was still a nice compliment from him.
Nah, that's it, mate. You got to take them. You got to take them when they're on the table. Right, who partners in midfield?
Yeah, this one was a hard decision. Because I've gone for ability over anything really, and it's Tom Kearney, the lad I'm with at Fulham now. I've always thought he was a good player. Obviously, I remember watching Scotty when he was a player at Fulham, and then when he became manager, I watched Fulham a lot more. So I always watched him thinking he's got just a real natural ability with the football, and then I was really looking forward to coming in to work with him, and obviously him being a midfielder. I was thinking, I'm looking forward to training against him, see what he's like, press him really hard, see how he manoeuvres the ball, and the way he trains is exactly the way he plays. He's so calm, so cultured on the ball, a little bit like Jack, to be honest. Sees things before other people. Doesn't play at a great pace, but just kind of plays the game at his own pace. And yeah, I just admire the way he can control not just the ball, but can control the game. He's one of them players that if you're on his team in a five-a-side, you probably end up winning the game. So now I had to get TC in there, and I thought, looking at my Fulham team, I thought I need to try and get one of the Fulham lads in. Otherwise, they're going to be fuming when I go back. So TC makes it from the Fulham lads.
No, that's fine, mate. Like I say, he's in there, and quality player. Just on him, do you think, I know it wasn't probably necessarily his fault in terms of it didn't go quite Fulham's way when they got in the Premier League last. Obviously, they came straight back down, and obviously from a personal level, he didn't shine that much, shall we say? Do you think, I think I looked, he's 29 now. Do you think he's definitely, he's got the same determination, or even maybe more of a determination now, to get back to the Premier League, to prove that he can do it at the top level?
Well, it's one of them. I think when you get relegated as a team, individually you have to take responsibility for your own performances. And I think TC will probably be the first to say, he didn't play to his full potential last season, whether that would be the amount of managerial changes they had as a club. They made a lot of signings, and potentially they could have done things differently. But in a way, footballers love to make excuses. So I'm kind of making excuses for players there already. But individually, obviously, he didn't live up to the heights that I definitely feel he's capable of, and I've seen that he can be capable of. This season, he's been brilliant for us. And I'd like to think, definitely in his mind, it's a burning, desire and passion for him to think, next time I get into the Premier League, especially being the age he is, then not so much I want to prove to other people, but just prove to himself more than anything that, as a player playing with him, I know he's got the ability to excel in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt, and I know he's got that self-confidence to do that. So hopefully, one, we get the season finished, and two, he gets that platform next year to do that.
Yeah, certainly. Right, wide players.
Yeah, this one linked up with Simon Francis. I honestly think they got about 30 assists together this year, and we still got our little WhatsApp group, and you know him really well, Matty Ritchie.
Yeah.
One of the most busiest, football-obsessed people I've ever met in my whole entire life. But just such a great lad. Someone that, even if he weren't any good at football, I think I would have still fitted in my team because I like him that much as a lad. But thankfully and lucky enough, his ability got him in the team alone, because that season we went up, and the season we went into the Premier League, he was brilliant. His work rate every single week when we put the stats up of high distance running, high speed running, Matty Ritchie, it was the highest every time. We ended up. Was you at Swindon when we bought him off him, or was you when you'd already left by then?
No, I was still there, yeah, when he left.
Because we got him cheap, really, and I think Di Canio ended up leaving when Matty left, because he was that fuming about it, because he was doing really well for you guys, and I thought, I don't know how we're getting him for this cheap, to be honest. But he was a Portsmouth lad, and he lives in Ringwood now, so I think the move for him was perfect. And we bonded really well. I remember his first day in, actually. He's quite a shy lad, and I heard he was quite chirpy, and he'd be quite loud around the place. I thought, I'll test him out and see what he's like. So I called Eggy Boff on him. I said to the lads, no one's allowed to speak to him for the first day. So he's come into the changing room, and he's like, walked in, and not one player has said one word to him. And I honestly let it go for about 2 hours, and then I called it off, and he didn't know what was going on, but he fitted in. He fitted in with the lads so well. And as I say, him and Frano and myself, we still speak so regularly. Got a little funny WhatsApp group that we have a good crack on. So it was so upset. He's probably the only player that I've ever played with that when they've left the club or been sold, that I thought, you know what, that's a big, big blow to the changing room and to the team. And ever thought it's the wrong decision by the club. I don't think we should have sold him. And looking back now, I think the club probably regret it. Probably think they made the wrong decision. Not sure, what the decision was based on. But obviously, ultimately, it was an opportunity for Matty to go and sign for a massive club that, potentially he's offered him at the time more money, but I know Matty didn't leave for that. He wasn't that sort of lad. So whatever the reason was, I think in the end, probably both parties could have potentially regretted it a little bit, albeit Matty's had a great career up in Newcastle and, definitely fulfilled his potential, and so pleased for him.
Yeah, superb player, and a great lad off the pitch. Like I said, everything you said there, I echo, and especially about I know you said it's about the busyness, and I certainly agree with that side of it. But to be fair to him, what I will say is, and I use him as an example, with these young players, whether I'm coaching or mentoring them or whatever I'm doing. For me, his professionalism, he deserves everything he gets out of the game. Because for me, what a player, like you said, unbelievable left foot, but he was just so professional. I remember, even at Swindon, if the meet time was 1:30, he's there at 12 o'clock getting every muscle on his body massage. You know what I mean? Whereas myself, I just want to rock up probably 25 past 1 and get changed. So I think I can probably work out where it all went wrong for me. But superb. He's in there, and he's a great lad. Other side.
No, he is. Other side. This one might surprise a few people, and I've only played with him probably 6 or 7 times, but just his ability alone was honestly incredible. Aidan McGeady. He played with. I went up with Ireland when I was 25, so probably 5-6 years ago, and I remember training, and I knew the standard. We were in the championship at the time, so I knew the standard, international level or being at Ireland would be higher than what I'd been previously used to. But this Ado took it to another level. I remember him facing me up. We was doing 2v2s, and it was my first session. Got Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane there, and I'm like, got to try and make a good impression here. So I've gone flying in, trying to tackle Aidan McGeady, and Rooney, I don't know, his feet, I swear to you, mate, they're the quickest feet I've ever come across in my life. He's just sold me one, put it in, and I'm like, oh wow, gone to the back of the queue thinking I can't do another 1v1 with him. But no, his ability was incredible, and I don't know what's really happened to his career, really. I think he's been a bit unlucky. He went to Sunderland, obviously, at the wrong time. Had a great career at Celtic, went over to Russia, done well. And then fell victim a little bit at Everton with changes of manager. And then, obviously, Sunderland falling the way they did. And I think he was on a really good contract at Sunderland. And at the age he was, I don't think anyone was prepared to take another risk in a way and give him the money he was on. So his career's kind of not gone as high, not gone as well as his ability, should have. But he ended up making, I think, near 100 appearances for Ireland, and a great player for Ireland, and I was privileged to play with him.
Yeah, no problems with that. I remember speaking to a few of my Scottish mates I played with, and I remember them saying that when he was at Celtic, he had a real name for himself when he was younger. Like even teams from abroad knew about him early doors, and say that raw ability. Just on that, when you sort of first went into the Ireland squad, then with players like Aidan, what was the big difference in terms of the Premier League to the international level?
Like Rooney paused for a while there.
Yeah, he can. I'll have to tell him to. What was that? It was fine when you spoke about him, wasn't it? Back. Get back.
Rooney?
Back, eh? Yeah, you back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'll have to. I think it should. I don't know whether that's. Yeah, it's still recording, so it should be a problem. Like he'll just edit that when he gets it. The kid. Is that all right now? Bastard.
Mate, do you think it's my internet or your internet?
I don't know. I've not really had problems before, so maybe where you're in the hotel, it might be the hotel's one. Has it been with other stuff that you've done? All right.
Yeah, it's not been too bad, but it's all right now, to be fair. But just that time then, it just stopped up a little bit.
Yeah, cool. All right, sweet. Well, I'll just go back off from that McGeady thing, and he might be able to sort that out. It come back on automatically, so I'm hoping it would have recorded it all. Yeah, it's no problem. It should be fine, man. Is that right now then?
Yeah, that's all good, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Before we cut out there, I was going to just go on from that, talking about Aidan McGeady there. Just going to go on from that and say, like, what was, someone like you say, someone like him there, when you've gone into the international setup, you've noticed that players like him are, maybe just on that sort of different level. Did you notice a big difference from when you went from the Premier League into the international setup? And what were the differences if you did notice differences?
Well, it's one of them, because I'd come from like League One and then into the Championship. International football a couple of years before that seemed so far away from my level. So I was still young and naive to be just excited about it rather than nervous or worried about if I'm going to be good enough. I was just so eager to get over there and trying to impress. And to be fair to Bournemouth, what I did notice was the demands at training at Bournemouth were so high that it wasn't a massive culture shock when I went there.
Yeah. And
when you look at the squad where Bournemouth eventually got to, the ability probably weren't too dissimilar to the Irish setup, which beforehand I didn't know, but obviously looking at it now and realising the career that the lads that I was playing with at the time have had. The ability that we had at Bournemouth was obviously much higher than everyone probably thought and assumed. So I was quite lucky I went over there and it not being a massive difference. But there was a few individuals where, as I say, like Ado, another person that was in my team who's up front in a bit. And there's some experienced players like John O'Shea, Shay Given. And it was more just kind of like, not in awe because I've grown up around big players and I've seen big players. So I was never someone that was in awe of them, but to be training alongside them and being unknown to all these players, it was kind of like, well, I want to prove to you that I'm good enough. I know I played for Bournemouth and we're seen as a small club. And obviously my career at that point had been, very low level. I wanted to try and prove to them that I was, definitely good enough to be there. And played there and had a career up to Ireland up until now. Obviously, I must have impressed at a certain point, and it wasn't too much of a change or seeing too much of a change in ability from Bournemouth to Ireland. So I was quite lucky in that sense.
Yeah, no problem with that. Who plays up front for you, H?
I'm going to go with someone first that I only played with him twice, to be honest, and he's someone that I admired from growing up, and then to be able to play, I played with him for his last game for Ireland. It's Robbie Keane. It was his last. It was kind of his retirement game. We played against Oman, but I trained with him in about 8 or 9 squads. But I'll say when I first went there, I didn't really play too much. So he was a skipper of Ireland, someone that made me feel so welcome straight away into the squad. And he was one of them players that kind of made you scared to be on his team because his demands were so high. If you misplace a pass, he would be on you, but in a good way, not in a bullying way or a patronising way. It was his will to win in training, in games. And the thing that I admired about him the most was players that are blessed with pace. Later on in their career, they seem to struggle, but Robbie, he kind of got better in a weird way. His football brain was unbelievable. He went over to LA Galaxy and had a career there, which made the MLS, probably the league it is now, is seen as a great league rather than just a league where players go and retire. And I think he set the standard for that, to be honest. And so to play with him in his final game for Ireland, it was a massive moment for him, and I was proud to have played a part in that. And just his ability alone and growing up and watching him, it was a pleasure to play with him, and I had to get him in this team somehow.
Yeah, no problem with that. And so I take it he was your favourite Keane in the Ireland campaign, yeah?
You know what, Rooney? It was when I first went to Ireland. Roy Keane was my idol growing up as a player. I was a Man United fan.
Yeah, you and me both.
Ability, his passion, his will to win, and his sort of effect that he had on Man United was just unbelievable. Irish football alone Roy Keane was Ireland. And that was probably one of my most nerve-wracking things going over there to try and impress him. It was, I want him to, prove that I'm a good player. You want his approval. And Martin O'Neill's, both of them, legends in the game. So as time went on, you fall out with people in football. Of course you do. And, sometimes you make up with people, sometimes you don't. And you have to kind of put things to bed, even if you don't agree with what someone said. You have to draw a line under it eventually, and thankfully we managed to do that in the end. And some things you can accept, and some things you can't. So at the time, it was a period of my life and a point where things that were said I weren't happy with. He accepted that in the end, and we put it to bed. So. No, someone that I learned a lot of, even though I only spent 3 or 4 years of playing with Ireland with him. Just his professionalism and his demands were so high, and I love him, watching him as a pundit. I think he's brilliant. I think he suits punditry, really well, and I think that's probably what he'll stick to.
Yeah, no problems with that. Right, for me as well, just on the Ireland thing, H, how much of obviously it was, I would imagine, really disappointing, but how disappointing was it missing out on the World Cup there against Denmark? That must have been a real, because I remember watching on as well, obviously I've got an Irish background myself, family-wise, and then, you actually taking part in both the Denmark games there. For you, like a friend of mine, a chance to play at the World Cup, like how much of a disappointment was that for you? I say from my point of view, I was gutted.
Yeah, up until probably, the last year or so, especially when you're getting geared towards the Euros or once the World Cup was finished, we done so well to get ourselves in a position we did. We beat Wales. Almost it felt like a playoff game. Whoever won out of us and Wales were then going through to the playoffs against Denmark, it was. So we went to Cardiff, beat them 1-0, which was probably one of the highlights of my career, to be honest. The feeling that night in the stadium was unbelievable. The Wales fans, obviously I signed for Cardiff a couple of years later, but the Wales fans that day were incredible. So were the Irish fans. And the feeling after that game was almost like we'd qualified for the World Cup. We then had Denmark, and we'd done the hardest part, to be honest, because we went to Copenhagen and got a draw. And I was like, you know what, we're in a position here where we're really good at home. Our home record was what got us in this position ultimately. And I was thinking we're one game away here from the World Cup. I started to get into the team and play, a much bigger role than I'd done in the years in the build up to that. So I was thinking, we beat Denmark here. I'm probably a nailed on starter to go to the World Cup in June and be a part of the team and be a regular. We went 1-0 up in the first 5 minutes, and the place was honestly, Rooney, it was electric. The Aviva Stadium was, it was incredible, the build up to it. And I thought that's it. I thought we'd done it. I was thinking, home fans with us, we're 1-0 up. And then Christian Eriksen that day he just turned it on. It was like a flick in the back of his head, mate. He just thought, you know what, I'm going to turn it on here. And they equalised. I played a big part in their equaliser. I got nutmegged in a corner flag. Geezers put it through my legs, crossed it, and they scored. And I don't know what it was. It was just a sucker punch. The away goal rule, I think, is a killer in international football and Champions League. It's one thing that I think they should take out of football. I think it's terrible because it just kills ties. It changes your mentality completely. We go 2-1 down 5 minutes later than that, and then it almost feels like game is over. You got to score 3 goals then to go through. Half time comes, we're 2-1 down. Martin O'Neill, in his head, he's probably panicking himself. He's thinking we've got to get 3 goals. He took me and the other centre midfielder off and put he put Aidan McGeady on and Wes Houlihan, who are just out and out attackers. And it ended up being obviously a catastrophe, and we lose 5-1. And it almost becomes, such a shame because we've done so well to get to that position to then lose 5-1. It was so uncharacteristic because conceding goals, we didn't really concede many goals in the group stage. Didn't score many, but that was our main strength. We beat Germany 1-0 at home the year before that. And, to lose 5-1, it was just... I think that was probably hard for Martin and Roy to come back from. We had a lot of players retiring from that Irish camp. And from that point on, it ain't ever felt the same, to be honest, Rooney. I haven't really played properly for Ireland since then. I've been in and out of the squad. And kind of now at the point where I'm probably not gonna go back there, which is a shame. I'm 30 years of age now, and it's probably Mick McCarthy's decided to put a new group of players in, which he's a new manager. He wants to change things up. He's made a lot of changes, but it's just not the same feel. And to bow out the way we did and being so close to the World Cup, it does seem such a massive shame. But the experiences before that and getting to that 5-1 were ones that will stick with me and were unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I like I say, I followed you all the way there, and it was really intriguing to watch. And like I say, that night was just a bit disappointing, just because someone like Eriksen, I mean, like you said, they just managed to switch it on. I mean, a couple of his finishes that night were just outrageous, So, but no, it's a shame that you got that close, because I feel like to go and play at a World Cup would have been. Would have just topped off everything for your career, really, to be honest. Right, we'll go on. We'll just finish off your team then. Who partners Robbie Keane up front before we go on to some other matters?
I actually think these two would partner each other well. It was Callum Wilson. We signed him almost as a gamble, to be honest. The year we went up, we signed him because Lewis Graven left us and went to Norwich. Done unbelievable for us, Grabs, and it was a massive, massive blow losing him. He had a get-out clause in his contract, so moving on to a big club, Norwich just been relegated. So he was a great lad as well, Grabs. it was difficult leaving him out of the team. Someone that I'm still, really close to now. But he left us and went Norwich and signed Callum from Coventry, and just such a great lad. Come in first day, just funny boy, infectious character, and just become one of the lads straight away. Really, first game of the season, I think he scored a hat trick, and he never looked back. His career just hit new heights from the day he signed for us. Got us promoted. He had 2 horrific injuries in the space of a year, and still his mentality and his positivity, without a shadow of a doubt, is overcome that and got him, as an England regular now. He's in the England squad, probably the last 6 or 7 squads he's been in, and everything that he's achieved has been through just pure hard work, determination, and really epitomises what Bournemouth was as a club, and what Bournemouth has achieved is through characters like Callum, and just playing with him, we was on the same wavelength. I saw sometimes when a ball come into me, I didn't even look, just straight down the line over the defender's head, and it would be clockwork. He would just know, and he'd be onto him, and we scored so many goals just from knowing where he's going to be, and his understanding of the way the team wanted to play and work. He fitted in so well, and he's a household name now, and he's a great player. Yeah,
no, like I say there, I think his goal scoring record speaks for itself, and I think he got 20. I'm doing a bit of homework. He got 20 goals the year that you got promoted to the Premier League in the league, and to do that, in your sort of debut season playing in the Championship, it's some going. And I think you mentioned as well, the thing that impresses me the most about him, like I say, I don't know him personally, but to come back from 2 crucial injuries and then to go on to play for England is just, remarkable. Don't matter about all the technology they have these days. For me, that's remarkable, mate. Right, so that's your 11 done, H. Fantastic 11. I'm sure we'll get that up for you. I'll post it on Instagram and stuff. I know you're not on social media. I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. Don't worry. Just a few questions before I head off, mate. Before I let you go, like I say, the 2 main reasons I've done this for. People probably bored of my voice now. Keep going on about it, but one for all the sort of bored football fans or starved of sport at home at a minute. So for them to just hear from a player like yourself, I'm sure all the Bournemouth and Ireland fans and Fulham Cardiff fans will be intrigued to hear what you've got to say about certain players and about certain topics. And another reason why I wanted to do it was, for younger players to listen in and try and gain some knowledge and opinions on the game from someone like yourself, who's now at the top of the pyramid. But like I say, it wasn't always the case for you. I was with you at Charlton growing up, and you well thought of at Charlton for a long time, and then things didn't quite work out there for you for whatever reason, and you find yourself playing non-league, and then you work your way up to obviously the Premier League with Bournemouth, which everyone I'm sure is aware of. Just for me, H, advice for players who are not necessarily playing at the level they want to at the moment. Players who might feel they're good enough to go and play at a higher level. Obviously, you're someone like yourself who's been there and done that. What sort of would be your main piece of advice for kids like that?
I know it's a simple one, Room, but it's just hard work. I remember coming up through the leagues, or especially when I was at non-league, and there'd be a lot of players that have been released from big clubs, or bigger clubs, and obviously where I was at them Woking. And I'd always hear him making excuses or blaming someone or blaming an injury, or this manager didn't like me, and I'm like, you know what? You just have to be whatever situation you're in. You have to make the best of it. Set yourself goals. Like when I was at Woking, my goal was I need to get back into the league. Forget whatever happened at Charlton. Phil Parkinson. Forget that he didn't like me. There's no point in making excuses or worrying about things that you can't control, or ultimately that you can't go back on. Don't be bitter. Obviously, Charlton releasing me, it hurt me at the time, and when you're speaking to family and friends, you make excuses. He preferred him to me. It was personal, etc. But then you got to, take stock and think, what's going to get me to the next level? Set realistic goals. So, say mine was to get back into the league. League 2 was my target when I was at the Conference South. worked as hard as I can. I think I was quite lucky that, obviously Scotty Parker's my brother-in-law, and I could fall on someone that was a great professional and ask him for advice and know how a true professional lives his game. So I do feel quite indebted to him for that and feel quite lucky. But I still kind of took it upon myself to realise weaknesses in my game that I've got to work on. Eating the right foods, not going out with my mates and doing what my mates are doing every week, which is going out, having a laugh, getting on the piss or whatever they're doing, and just making sacrifices. And if it don't work out one season or for 6 months, you're having a bad 6 months, don't just bin it and go, you know what, I ain't been out for 6 months and I still ain't playing well. I'm just going to go out, because it don't work like that. You have to just continue until you get to where you want to. I had a full season at Woking. I remember halfway through the season, Swindon. I went on trial at Swindon. I was thinking, you know what, this is my chance now. I'm going to get back in the league. Swindon can sign me for next to nothing. I went there and they didn't want me. And Danny Wilson said I was too small. So in my head, I was thinking, too small. So instead of concentrating on that and thinking, he's making excuses, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep working harder. And thankfully, ended up, obviously, Bournemouth signing me, and they signed me when they were League Two, but they got promoted to the League One that season. So I was quite lucky to skip League Two. But then when I got to Bournemouth, my next goal was to get in the Championship. And it was just, I felt like getting back into the league and being a professional again was my second chance. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make the best of it and just never make excuses, I guess. I think that's probably my best advice to anyone. And I think it's what every footballer falls victim to. If they have a bad game, you sit on a coach and someone could have had the worst game of their life and they'll be blaming someone else. They'll be blaming the manager for the formation. They'll be blaming their teammate for not working back hard enough. If the back four concede 4 goals, it'd be hard. The midfield didn't track their runners, or strikers didn't press hard enough. If their strikers didn't score and we drew 0-0, the defenders would be blaming the strikers. So never ever blame anyone else. Just always take responsibility for yourself. And ultimately, it's a long-term game. Nothing happens quickly in football, and in life, to be honest, nothing happens overnight. You've got to keep working hard and be true to yourself. So that would be my best advice.
Yeah, no, superb. Totally agree with that as well. A lot of people, it's easy to make an excuse, but I think you've got to look at yourself first. And, I think the thing I've noticed now, sort of coming out of full-time football as well, is you don't realise how lucky you are as a footballer, because obviously other people have an opinion and, managers make decisions on whether you're playing and stuff. But ultimately, as a footballer, you actually are in control of your own destiny. Do you know what I mean? You whatever you do is going to reflect on what's going to happen in your future. Whereas, you go into other walks of life, which I've obviously had to do myself, and you find out you're relying on other people, and it's a difficult one to get used to. Right, last couple, H, before I let you go, mate. Your plans for the near future, first of all. I know you're on loan at Fulham, still a Bournemouth player. How do you see that panning out? Obviously, it depends on what's going on with the coronavirus and stuff, and whether the season will be completed and stuff. But just wondering, is your time at Bournemouth done, or you're not quite sure yet?
It's one of them, Rooney. I had eight great years at Bournemouth, and for my personal life and what happened in obviously my personal side, and I just felt like it was the right time to leave Bournemouth. And it's not as easy as that in football to get up and leave your job and go somewhere else. It's still a lot of finances involved. I had a 4-year deal at Bournemouth, and I had a lot of ties there, emotionally with the club, with the manager, the players. But I just felt for my family and for myself, I needed a change. And that process is so difficult in football because most moves are driven by money and either fallouts or, a different ambition to what the club, you feel that the club have got to you. But mine generally was personal. I just wanted a fresh change, wanted to get away from Bournemouth and kind of escape my personal problems. And as I say, that process took quite a long while and a lot of understanding, and Eddie Howe and obviously myself to come to that agreement. It was difficult for a period of time, but once that season passed where I didn't really play as much, and we had a real honest chat and we worked out what the best scenario was. It didn't work out to move permanently. Finances just didn't add up for me or the club at the time, so going on loan was the best thing. Cardiff it was. But then when I left to go Cardiff, I kind of knew that probably my career at Bournemouth was done. I thought if Cardiff stay up, I'd end up staying at Cardiff. That didn't happen, and I went back to Bournemouth in the summer. I still had 2 years left on my deal, and as I say, football is so dictated to by finances. That's the ultimate thing. I felt like I was in a much better headspace, and I returned to Bournemouth in a kind of different, mindset. But I still had that, gut feeling that this is probably it for me at Bournemouth. And obviously, Scotty being a Fulham manager, it was quite fitting to be able to go and join Fulham. Obviously, the capacity that I'm only there on loan, but if we get promoted, then I'm able to stay, which for me will be unbelievable. To achieve promotion again in itself would be a great feeling. But to be able to achieve it with someone, as I mentioned to you earlier, that I feel quite indebted to for my career, for the help he's given me, to be able to get that promotion with him would be, be almost fairy tale like, to be honest with you, Roon. So hopefully, we can get promoted. But the nice thing for me is that my relationship with Bournemouth, the staff there, the backroom staff, Eddie Howe, me and him, we speak, so regularly. And it's a great club. The fans, I've got a great, affinity with the fans there. So if it's not to work out at Fulham, then, I can easily return to Bournemouth and try and work my way back into the setup there. So, I feel very positive about football when it returns. Hopefully, as I say, I can get promoted with Fulham. And that will definitely suit everyone involved. So, fingers crossed that's the case.
Yeah, that's superb. I'm sure, like most people who know you will understand that. Just wanted to get a little bit of feedback on that for now. Right, last one really, mate. You just mentioned that you're 30 now, a year above me, same birthday as myself. Any plans for after plan? Do you have any plans? Do you know what you're going to do when you stop playing?
Well, I've done me coaching badges, but it was more kind of just thought, I'll have them in place. But I've never really thought about it until this period of where we ain't been able to do anything. I'm like, realistically, without a shadow of a doubt, I want to play football for as long as I can. Injury permitting and physical permitting. If I feel like I get to an age where I can't give my best to a team, I would never want to take a responsibility or a wage off a club if I feel like I can't give them my all and give them my best. So if I get to the point where I've got to finish playing football, hopefully that ain't for a long time. I'm going to have to be involved in football some way because I'd miss it way too much. So I'm not sure, Room, to be honest. I think management-wise, I don't feel like I'm in that headspace yet where I feel like, I could be a manager. Just maybe in the future when I get a little bit older and a little bit more, mature. I'm still quite immature for 30, I think. But maybe if I get a bit more mature, potentially management, I like the thought of it, but I know for a fact that I'm nowhere near that level yet. So coaching I love watching football. So whether it be analysing, scouting, definitely something involved in football without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, no, of course. Like I say, probably was a little bit too early to ask that one, but I just thought I'd have a go. Right, last little bit of fun. Favourite goal?
Favourite what?
Favourite goal. Your favourite goal?
Oh, this is my last one, to be honest, against Aston Villa in the cup.
Yeah.
We played. I'd been out for 3.5 months. I hadn't played. I had a calf injury, and me and the physio, we worked so hard together, Wayne Gill. And I swear to you, I said to him the day before the game, because I knew I was coming on for about 25 minutes. I said to him, I'm going to come on. I'm going to score a banger. I swear, they were my words. Mate, I was on the pitch for a minute. I think it was 1 minute 20 or something mad like that. I don't know why, it just comes to me and I thought, I'm just going to hit it. And it flew into the top corner and we ended up winning the game 2-1. I went up to the physio. So it was a nice moment for him as much as it was for me. So, that one is my favourite up until now.
Nah, perfect, mate. And what foot was that with? Because I've got to be honest, mate. You go down as probably the most two-footed player I've ever come across, even when I was a professional and even when we was growing up. You got frauds like myself who claim to be both-footed, but not on the same level as you, I'm afraid. What foot, just for your fans who don't know, what foot are you?
Rooney, I ain't even just saying this, I swear, they're exactly the same. Rooney, I swear. I've had even whenever I join a new club like Cardiff, that's like, what footed are you? They're like, I'm trying to look. I'm like, I know why I think it could be, because when I was younger, I didn't know my left and right. Genuinely, it took me years to work out what way was left and what way was right. I used to get hammered by my family. I just feel, I've never really had a dominant foot. It's just always been just naturally just been able to kick exactly the same with both. So I haven't realised that I was quite lucky up until, I started playing properly professionally and people complimented me on it. It was just something that I was lucky to have, I guess.
Yeah, totally, mate. And always one thing that stuck out for me, because the thing is, well, people have always said it to me, and I'm like, trust me, I am not two-footed. When I show you other people like I've played with, like you, that's the real meaning of the word two-footed. Right, H, top man, mate. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Right,
and like I say, I'm sure everyone will be. I'm sure a lot of Bournemouth fans will be tuning into that as well as Ireland fans. And like I say, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries, Rooney, mate. Top man.